blocking.yaml, and I realized after I named this is probably a bad name because it's nothing to do with blocks, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to shut down the interface, and then I'm going to simply show that interface, and I've utilized this wait for function. What we're going to do is we're going to actually look at how we can start to force the network to stabilize before we allow the playbook to run forward. So we're going to start by running this, and I'll tell you right now, this is going to fail. That's okay, but because it demonstrates the point that I wanted to show. So as the playbook starts, the first thing it's going to do is I've got it forcing the interface down. We actually have a force argument, so we can forcibly push config into the box. Now I'm going to get the status of the interface, and now I'm going to tell the playbook the task, wait, don't do anything further. And what you're waiting for is you're waiting for, in this case, Ethernet 4 to become enabled. And it'll wait, by default, a period of 10 retries at 1 second intervals. And we can see here that, of course, it's failed. And it tells me it was timed out waiting for the value. Now, in this particular case, I could have wrapped this in a block and rescue, and I could have undone a bunch of config if I so chose. But more importantly, following through that idea of failing fast in the Ansible world, I've just potentially prevented a very severe problem on my network infrastructure. Because I forced Ansible to wait for the network to stabilize before I allowed it to continue. Well, since the network never stabilized the way that I needed it to, it failed. Now, we're going to run it one more time here. Of course, it's going to do the same thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm manually going to go in, once we get to that spot, and I'm going to just manually enable the interface. Easiest way to show this. Okay, so now we're waiting for the interface to be enabled. So I'm going to go ahead and configure it in real time. In its next polling cycle, it's going to understand that that interface was now enabled, and now the playbook moves on. So as we start to orchestrate applications now, right, we can start to validate that things are coming up, that they're stabilizing, that they're achieving an operational state that is correct before we allow it to push things up. So you think about these playbooks, and while this is obviously a relatively simple example, when you start to overlay your application on top of this, we can now orchestrate the underlying network infrastructure, make all the connections, validate those connections are good, and that they're working, and that they're connected, and then we can go out and deploy our application over the top of it. My goal is to never have the conversation again between an application developer and a network guy where they're arguing about whether or not one host can talk to another. And that's what we have the ability to do with this. So the last example I want to show you here is, show you the playbook here. So this is an example of a playbook that actually does multi-vendor provision. The idea here, again, being is that we can start to provision now multi-vendor environments and do that in a way that really kind of abstracts away the complexities of each one. So I'll just show you one of these playbooks. We're going to an XOS one. So we don't do a whole lot here. By the way, I'll be making both of these available. I should have put a slide on this, I did not. I'll be making both of these playbooks available via my GitHub site. And what I do, I'll actually send an email out to the Ansible mailing list, so that you guys can grab these and look at them and kind of scrutinize them and understand what they're doing, or just simply as a good starting point. But this playbook I like from the aspect that it actually shows all the pieces and parts working together. This utilizes command, it utilizes config, it utilizes template. It kind of shows how you could orchestrate a network device that just simply booted up, and now we need to get kind of a base config on. We're going to go ahead and get this guy started. Of course, it's not going to be very exciting to watch because, if I've done my job right, it actually just works. But one of the things about this particular playbook and what makes it very valuable, as a great kind of point to look at is not only does it implement command, config, and template, but it also shows how we utilize delegate to. It shows how we utilize various multi-vendor templates, and it really just kind of brings all of these concepts that I've been talking about together. So as this kind of finishes up running, I'll start to wind this down a little bit. This is really an exciting time. This is an opportunity for us to really start to look at how we can automate beyond just simply systems and applications, and we can really start to automate and orchestrate, real solutions, across the entire landscape of IT. And I'm very excited about this. I'm going to be around all day today. If you want more information, I do have an Ask the Expert session. I apologize, I don't know what time it is, but I'll be pretty much out there all day. So, by all means, grab me, let's chat. Because what I'm most interested in is to hear the feedback from you guys. Because if all we did is build this to sit in a GitHub repo, we really haven't done much of anything. So what I'm most interested in here is feedback from you guys, and what your thoughts are, and what your ideas are, and I can also help you in terms of how, if you want to get started, actually building your own sets of modules and your own network environments. So I'll leave you one more time with Ansible.com/networks, and that's it for me.